What's going on, everyone? So one of the big things that happened this offseason for the Lakers was keeping the core guys. Keeping, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt. That was very important. Rob Pelinka made that very clear going into free agency and delivered on that. And then filled in the rest of the roster just beautifully, seamlessly, and just gave us a lot of depth, a lot of size, a lot of versatility. This roster is going to be a lot of fun to watch. But LeBron, he talked about Anthony Davis. That was one of the big talking points, it seemed, for everybody during media day, was that we don't have this massive roster turnover like we have the last few seasons, that we can keep some continuity, we can continue to grow and build on the foundation that was laid last season, build on that chemistry. You got to keep in mind, these guys played, 8 games together going into the playoffs? I mean, fully healthy. They had 23 games or whatever total, but you got to remember, LeBron James missed a bunch of those games, D'Lo missed a bunch of those games, Anthony Davis missed a few of those games. So you had these guys miss a fair amount and have to kind of piece it together and figure it out, with every game essentially being a game 7 for the Lakers because they were so far behind. And then you get into the playoffs, you go through that grueling grind, and you made it to the Western Conference Finals. And the Lakers talked about how one of the issues that they had with the Denver Nuggets was their continuity, and how everyone understood their roles and everyone understood what the mission was and what the goal was, and everyone was where they needed to be at all times. And it seemed like they knew what each other were thinking before they even thought it. And that goes with that chemistry, that goes in with that just team building. And you're already seeing that translate beautifully based on the news and reports coming out of training camp, that the Lakers had a head start because of them bringing in this continuity, and that now you're seeing that really translate during training camp. You have Darvin Ham, who talked about, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis, LeBron James are basically the locked-in starters. That 5th and final spot is up for grabs. It's looking like it's Jared Vanderbilt, but Rui's ran some sets with that. A lot of people think it's going to be Rui, and it very well could. I personally think Jared Vanderbilt's the way to go. I mean, I know I've said this 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more, because I do. I really do believe Jared Vanderbilt is the best spot for that small forward position. One, keep the continuity, keep the chemistry from last season. That was a starting 5 that led you to the conference finals, right? That's massive for the Lakers to keep that. That is so important and significant for this road ahead. Jared Vanderbilt is their best on-ball defensive guy. He's their best perimeter defender, and he might be the best in the entire league. Seriously. So to have him on this starting unit, I think gives you just the best balance, because you have your 2 best playmakers, not named LeBron James, your 2 best shooters on the court, and D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. You have 2 legit 3-level scorers in D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. You have LeBron James, who the superstar that could do everything, and Anthony Davis, who, when he's locked in, focused, and bought in, is the best two-way guy in the entire league. He's the best defensive player in the entire league. The one thing that you need is Jared Vanderbilt to kind of lock in and fill in that defense. Because if you go with Rui Hachimura, Rui recently debunked the rumors that he slimmed down, right? So he said that he's still around the same weight, he just is more defined now. He's had issues defending the twitchier perimeter guys. He has a hard time defending the twitchier just wings in the league. And last thing you want to do is put LeBron James at the 3. Is he capable of playing it? Of course he is. But the last thing you want to do is wear him down or get him hurt before the playoffs, because he's chasing around all these 20-something-year-olds, right? I mean, we saw last year him just kind of sit and, I mean, how many times we see him not even run out and close out on the shooter or even put a hand up? Because he was resting and conserving his energy over the course of the season. Now, I do think he can lock in more defensively, because he won't have to have as much of a burden offensively and do as much overall for this roster as he did last year. And I like Rui a lot, but Rui is best at the 4. And I also think that what's going to happen is they're going to end up making Rui a spot-up 3-and-D type player in the starting unit, because you have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reeves, that Rui's offensive versatility is not going to be that. Where if he comes off the bench, he gets that. Because now he can basically be him and Christian Wood would be the main offensive threats off the bench. So he can be a real significant piece in that bench unit on the offensive side. Play the 4, or if you want to play him the 3 against bench unit 3s, then go ahead and do that. You could go with a Prince, Rui, Wood, Hayes, whatever, right? And put, Prince at the 2, have Rui at the 3, Wood at the 4, and Hayes at the 5 with Vincent at the point. Got a good, nice, solid balance there, right? It's the best bench unit in the league. Like, I really like the idea of just the conversation, the consensus, all of the talk, everything has just been, it's so great. We have this continuity, everything's just picking up right where we left off. This roster just has that head start, right? We have that jump that we didn't have the previous year and all that stuff and the years prior. And it's like, well, then keep that. Why change something that is already proven? If they were put together and they lost in the first round, or they got, let's say they got swept in the second round instead of the third or whatever, then maybe it'd be a different conversation. But that was a roster that led you to the Western Conference Finals with a hobbled LeBron James who was on one foot and needed foot surgery, a hobbled Anthony Davis, and a hobbled D'Angelo Russell. 3 of your 5 starters were at 50%, right? Like, literally, because they all had one leg. And you were still able to get to the conference finals with that roster. What does that starting 5 look like with a full training camp, a full preseason, a full regular season of continuity and health? I think that that's the best approach and that's the way to go. And I love seeing what we're seeing and what we're hearing out of training camp. I'm so excited and so pumped for this season. I mean, this season just feels different. I've said that 200 times and I'm going to continue to say it genuinely feels different this year. You have so much just versatility and size and everything. And I know some people are upset. I might even do a full video about this, but I know some people are upset that Darvin Ham even talked about doing a lineup out there where you have Gabe Vincent, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reeves, right? And I know some people oh, here we go again. Every team in the league runs 3-guard lineups. He's not talking about playing that against, a Toronto team that has, a bunch of 6'8" guys out on the court. But no, you play, I've talked about this, right? Let's say you play the Warriors and they go Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, and, Draymond Green. It would make sense to go Gabe Vincent on Chris Paul, go, maybe go have Reeves or you could even do Reeves on Chris Paul, right? Put Vincent on Steph, and then D'Lo on a guy like Klay Thompson, right? And then LeBron on Wiggins and AD on Draymond. I'm okay with that. Or if you want, put D'Lo on Chris Paul, whatever, however you want to approach it. I don't think that that's a bad matchup. And again, there's a big difference between going, Patrick Beverly, Kendrick Nunn, right? Dennis Schroeder. And it's all those guys are 6 feet tall or 6'1", right? There's a big difference between that and a Gabe Vincent who's 6'3", Austin Reeves who's 6'5", and a D'Angelo Russell who's 6'5", right? I mean, even Denver, the entire playoffs even, ran 4-guard lineups. I mean, we saw lineups out there, even against the Lakers, where they had Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, and Braun out there with Aaron Gordon at the center position, right? Teams do that, but the difference is you look at theirs and it's Jamal Murray's 6'4" or whatever, right? You look at KCP's 6'5", Braun 6'5", Bruce Brown's 6'4", 6'5", right? It's okay, it's not a bunch of 6-foot guards, right? That's the difference. I mean, even the Celtics with Brown and Tatum would run units out there. It's Brogdon, Smart, and White, right? all the teams do it, right? I don't think he's going to do it heavily. I don't think he's planning on doing it game in and game out. I just think it's like, hey, we have that option. And that's what he talked about. We have that option. And we do. We have so much versatility and so many different options with this roster. You could go a roster with all 6'8 guys. You want to talk about big small ball? That's pretty big small ball there. You could go a lineup. Christian Wood and his ability to shoot and defend out on the perimeter, you could put him at the 3 like a Lauri Markkanen. Darvin Ham even talked about that. You could do something like Jackson Hayes, Anthony Davis, and Christian Wood. Now you have 6'10 guys and above there, and then go with like a Taurean Prince at the 2 if you wanted to, who's 6'7", and then like an Austin Reeves at the point. Or you could even go LeBron at the point if you wanted to and really keep it big, right? Because LeBron's ability to pass the ball and play point for a stretch, right? There's so many different things and looks that you could do. But the beauty is the smallest guy on this roster is Gabe Vincent at 6'3". Last season, we had like 5 guys at one point that were like 6'1", right? Like that's a big difference. Big difference. I love this roster. I love how it looks. I'm so pumped and excited for it. I love hearing that the Lakers clearly already have a head start because of the way everything's shaped up. I love that. That's what you want to hear. It's what you got to look forward to. And here we are. Look, we have our first preseason game Saturday. That'll be here before we know it. It's already Thursday. Like, Lakers basketball cannot come any sooner, and I am so pumped and excited. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Are you excited that we have this continuity and stuff? Are you not? How do you feel? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.